Okay, so now we're in the tillage module within Vayda.ag. And the first thing that you'll see when you look at your farm in this view is a table that provides a field level summary of the compaction data on all of your enrolled fields. So this table is showing the fields from our farm in Newport, Arkansas, where we scanned quite a few of the fields to determine what the compaction looked like. And you can see, especially as you get a large number of fields, uh, this table is nice because there's this compaction score metric that ranges from 1 to 5. And that gives us a quick at-a-glance view of which fields have more severe compaction, where 1 is where there's very little compaction and you probably don't really need any deep tillage, to 4 or 5, shown in orange and red, which is where there's widespread compaction starting at a pretty shallow depth. And so here you can see there are a few fields that are in green, and that there are a number of 4s and 5s, though, in orange and red, that we would want to take a closer look at. There are a lot of other metrics shown in this table to give you a better idea of where the compaction's starting, and how severe it is on average, that can be useful when you're just looking through at all the fields on your farm. So now I will pick a specific field that we can take a closer look at. So I'll select it from the drop down here at the top. And now the table is just showing one field, C11 on our central farm. I'll scroll down to this first map, shows the depth that compaction is starting at. So each point in this map represents an individual measurement from the scanning that I was talking about earlier, that are spaced about 30 feet apart. So you get this high resolution map throughout your entire field. And here the lighter greenish colors indicate compaction that's happening at a depth below 8 inches, which is the threshold that we use at Vayda in the delta. If you have compaction starting lower than 8 inches, usually we would say that you don't need deep tillage in that part of the field. Whereas if something's starting shallower than 8 inches, that would be where you might benefit from loosening up a compacted layer, so the roots can go down, plant roots can go down a little deeper. So this field's interesting because the top part of the field, the compaction is starting at 4 to 6 inches in this area, orange area in the middle, and then 6 to 8 inches in the rest of the northern half of the field. So that would all be area that we would consider performing some deep tillage to deepen that rooting zone. The southern half of the field has a different soil texture. The clay content picks up quite a bit. So this is a very heavy clay soil that's less susceptible to compaction. And you can see there that actually the starting compaction depth is a little deeper, about 8 to 10 inches. And so we might be able to get by without deep tilling that particular part of the field if we wanted to save some money on fuel. So now we're looking at a field on the west portion of our farm, West 08. And if we scroll down, you can see this field had a compaction score of 5. It's a very sandy field with a fine sand that's very susceptible to compaction. And if we look at the depth of compaction map, you can see here we've got a lot more reds and oranges than we had in the previous field. So compaction starting from 2 to 6 inches. So pretty much this entire field would be a candidate for deep tillage based off of what we're seeing here. One of the things that I wanted to show you about this field is another view of the compaction data that we have in Vayda.ag, and that's this line chart that shows the soil depth on the x-axis and the penetrometer resistance on the y-axis. And so here you see highlighted a red line that runs down the middle that shows 300 psi, which is the threshold that we typically use for deciding where compaction is going to be restrictive to plant root growth, and where we would consider, above which is where we would consider deep tillage. The thing that I like about this chart is it shows the average penetrometer resistance changing over depth, and you can use it to quickly identify if there's a hard pan present within the field. And so in the case of this field here, you can see that there's a definite peak that happens around 8 inches, shown by this dashed blue line. So if we were to perform deep tillage in this field, we would want to make sure that we're tilling at least to an inch or two below where this peak is occurring, maybe 12 or 13 inches, to make sure we break up that most severely compacted layer in the soil. And then finally, another thing you can do for each field is the actual penetrometer resistance data, layer by layer. And so you can see 2 to 14 inches. You can view slices of the data, and this is nice when you really want to drill in a little more and see how is the compaction changing in different parts of the field as you move down through the different soil layers. And so here you can see as we move down in the soil, the colors are getting redder and redder as we get closer to that layer at 8 inches with the really severe compaction. So that concludes my run through of the compaction data in Vayda.ag. Hopefully those were some helpful examples of how to interpret some of the displays of the data that we have. And we're happy to answer any additional questions that you have. Thanks.